All right, thanks for sticking with us here, Saints Nation. We are finally just about to get underway with Lijiang Tower as our first map here in this NECC playoff best of 5 between St. Clair College and Bryant and Stratton. And unfortunately, it looks like we already had somebody get disconnected here. So it's just going to be a couple more moments here to get on through. Looks like Cheesy unfortunately got the boot in that regard. So things not necessarily falling into place in regards to timing, to say the least. But of course, still players getting ready to hop into the action very, very shortly. But I guess just to kind of recap again, Bryant Stratton, third seed. We're sitting in the sixth, technically the underdog. But that being said, still a good match ahead of us.
Collegiate video games and internet issues. What better duo is there?
I mean, at least it isn't the case where the players are stuck playing at home and they have
That's true.
no internet. Everybody else is just sitting there waiting.
Or they're at 15,000 ping.
Oh, you mean like having what was it, the Lupo, where he was top ranking with over 1,000 ping?
Oh.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting day there.
That was funny.
On the Valorant broadcast. But of course, different game, different time here, and we see how it looks like a little bit of a PC restart here for G Scales, from what I'm being told. So just a couple more moments. Actually, that was a little bit quicker than expected. There we go. So game number 1 on Lijiang. I feel like this has been a rather commonplace one as of late.
Yeah, and I feel like St. Clair has had a bit of success with this one, but a lot of time they do struggle. I feel like to cover both gates properly, they tend to float towards one side and leave one open. It opens a lot of flanks for the other team, so they are going to make sure they have to watch both the bridge and the hut on the outside to get in, because that is really going to make a huge difference here. It is going to be their first playoff game. It is a best of 5. So there is many chances for these teams to make a comeback, and to sweep a series would be very, very tough for either of these teams. I definitely think my prediction in this one is going to have to be Bryant Stratton College favored, but I definitely think it's still going to be a 3-1 or 3-2 series. That's going to be close.
Absolutely. Your starting lineups here for both squads. This time, our opponents, Bryant and Stratton College on the tank line. We have OBL and Cyber. DPS, we got Everlong and Slater. And Injustice and Set going to be holding the fort for the supports. Meanwhile, St. Clair, you know them at this point. The main squad coming in clutch here. We got Apostle and G-Skills on tank. Cheesy and available for DPS. Evil and Archon on support.
Yeah, Cheesy goes down very, very early, but does get traded out there for Cyber. So both teams have 5 apiece now here. The Wrecking Ball are very interesting here. Apostle, we haven't seen his Wrecking Ball too much this season, but he does go down very early. Everlong going to take care of him. Ooh, he's going to get available as well. G-Skill's going to get Slater off the edge, though. But it does mean that it will go in Bryant Stratton College favorite. So that Reaper early was very, very strong against what St. Clair had to offer, and did get a couple early picks and gave Bryant Stratton College this objective very early on.
I mean, if Bryant and Stratton did their homework and realized that Saints almost always do a symmetric teleport play at the beginning, having the Reaper to just show up with the 2 shotguns was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, for sure. And we did see the swap over to Tracer there to try and help them out, but it didn't really work. But Apostle does get Cyber again, so the Winston going down a second time very early on. OBL going to be popped out of the mech there. Zenyatta Transcendent's going to come through as well. And St. Clair going to try and push through. Everlong goes down. A nice headshot there by Cheesy. They will force them off this point. So St. Clair going to claim this one. A couple ults available as well, and this is definitely some momentum in their favor.
Yeah, the healing there from Arjunk's Transcendence is just enough for the Saints to hold W and just take care of everybody over and over again. To the point now where Saints had 3 ults available. It does look like Babel did fire off the Pulse Bomb as a extra staggering attempt, but now taking a look at Bryant and Stratton, 2 ults on deck here. That EMP is going to be possibly huge, and that's a 4-player EMP.
Yeah, he did get stunned up there, but Slayer didn't end up going down after a stun. Self-destruct can come out as well. Not going to catch anyone, though. Arjunk is going to get Everlong, so the Reaper going down again here. Cyber going to have to hop out a point. It looks like St. Clair going to push him back yet again to be able to hold this point.
Everlong went down as he was firing off his Death Blossom, so such a high-value ultimate just getting completely taken away pretty much with no value. Solid defense here for the side of St. Clair. Bryant and Stratton are only going to have the defensive ultimate from Injustice's Lucio, and then OBL will have the Diva Bomb, but that's pretty hit or miss on this map.
Deadeye going to come out here. We'll see. He's going to hold it here for a while. That's going to be a stun off the edge, though. He will get a pick there, so Cheesy going down very early, but will be traded for Set here. So again, both teams getting small advantages. Cyber still with the ult activated will finally go down here. Pack's coming through. Cyber finds another. This is going pretty heavily in Bryant and Stratton's favor here. There will be a self-destruct coming down yet again here. Not going to find anyone, though. Oh, it will actually. Available. Going to go down there. Will remech. That's going to be Bryant and Stratton trying to clean everyone else off the point here. Apostle going to go down in just a second. No, he's going to live, actually. And St. Clair extending this. They're trying to push to 99.
They are just stalling this as best as they possibly can. They're finally going to end up going down, it looks like. Cheesy, the first line of defense, probably not going to be tanky enough to handle that one. But that point should have, in theory, been flipped over at like 60. But now they're almost at 80. So honestly, good on them to get some extra points in for this next push.
Yeah, for sure. We haven't really seen any changes here. We did see the Yubel going to the Brigitte now, so a slight change there. But otherwise, everyone else has pretty much stayed on the same heroes throughout this one. So interesting. There hasn't really been a lot of spots, but I think both teams like where they're at. Transcendent's going to come through. Slater going to go down very, very early, and that will mean a pick for St. Clair. They're going to push through. They're going to get Cyber as well. Apostle going to fall off the edge. Then Justice is going to follow him down there. Cheesy going down to the Reaper, but he will be taken off point. And St. Clair going to claim this one again, and they could try and take this point as soon as they clear everyone off.
Yeah, just got to deal with the Diva, and there they go. They'll be able to take care of this nice and quick. G-Scale's pulling back to help peel off for the supports and keep them safe in regards to Everlong's Reaper. Really keeping them in the fight here and allowing them to capture that point. So now, one final last-ditch effort here for Bryant and Stratton to try and take the win here in round one. They need to flip this fast. There's the MP.
This is going to be a huge fight here. Rage will come out from this Monkey. Cyber trying to find as many people as he can. Does find Arjunk, and he's going to get Ubel off the edge too. Bayable finds one with the bomb, but that's not going to matter when everyone else from St. Clair is already done. But they get the point! A C9 there for Bryant and Stratton, and St. Clair take the first point in this one.
Okay, whether that was calculated or not, I have no idea, but the fact that the Saints took that fight on the building on the opposite side of the map, of the capture point itself, even though they were arguably losing that fight, they weren't in position to hop over and actually capture the point.
Yeah, I
and
think
get that overtime tick.
What happened there was Lucio was left on the point, like it just was on the point, and Bayable found him with the bomb right at the end. So he got him just before the, I think it's 5% mark, whatever it is, to force the overtime. And so they didn't actually get that overtime activated because it was a really well-placed bomb by Bayable. So all shout out to him, really good play there. And St. Clair going to take this first round and getting some momentum going here to start us off.
A game of inches sometimes can be the way we play here in Overwatch. And this time we get to see Apostle up on the Reinhardt. The tried and true main for the most part, but he's absolutely getting shredded here. He's going to need a lot of backup from the support line to stay alive.
Yeah, Baptiste coming out for both main healers here. Definitely a necessity on this map. There is so much close quarters combat. You need that immortality field to keep your team alive here. And Available on the Junkrat is doing quite a bit of damage with Doomfist coming out here as well. So a lot of changes across the board for both of these teams because, I mean, it is a very different map. They're playing here Everlong, and they get the first pick on Apostle, though, and this could be a cascade for them to try and take this first point.
Yeah, they even had the Shatter on top of it, and that is going to seal the deal. Cyber with a wonderful double, and the rest of the Bryant Stratton squad coming through and getting the first capture here. So even though, like, in terms of AoE damage, like, we had Bayable on the Junkrat, which in theory should have been doing a little bit more, and he was getting some good shots, don't get me wrong. But the pick-off potential here from Everlong, Symmetra, and the Doomfist from Slater, alongside the rest of the squad, of course, from Bryant Stratton, just seems to overpower Saints this time by.
The key here now, though, is that there will be 4 ults available for St. Clair. And, I mean, other than the Symmetra, there's not really anyone else close to the ult there for the side of Bryant and Stratton. So I think this push, if they can get a little bit extra damage off here. Ooh, he's going close, going down. Shatter going to come through. Nice. Going to find 3. A massive Shatter. That's going to be a double tire kill for Available. He's going to find 1, but there's a couple picks for Slater here. Traviton going to come through for this tank here, and they will find it. So they will flip the point here in just a second. Self-destruct going to come out there. Won't catch anyone, though, and that will be a point flipped here as soon as this Doomfist gets taken down. But no, he finds another pick. Going to force G-Scales off point. That is huge that Doomfist is still alive and able to keep him off that for so long.
Holy smokes, Slater just saved the point here for the side of Bryant and Stratton. Saints are slowly going to be able to stop the trickling here, but again, another spot where that should have been probably turned over like 35%, and they're now sitting at almost 60. So beautifully done there from Slater and the rest of the squad over at Bryant and Stratton. But now Saints are in a very aggressive positioning. They're actually gonna have to fall back here. Not everybody's available, and they have to be careful. That's a really fast coming Bryant and Stratton squad.
That's gonna be an early window out here from the side of side of Bryant and Stratton, trying to find anyone they can. That's gonna be Lucio bounce as well. Gonna try and find anyone, but not gonna catch them all. So it is still gonna be 6-on-6. Arjun gonna take the immortality field. Ooh, barely staying alive there for Apostle. That's gonna be a couple ults used as well. A lot of fighting on point, but Apostle gonna go down very, very early. Shatter gonna find nobody there, but G-Scale's gonna go down here in just a second, and that's gonna be Bryant and Stratton cleaning up everybody else on this point. Available still alive here, trying to get as many kills as he can, but he can't really find anybody. Point will flip back over to Bryant and Stratton's favor.
I was thinking about would there be a last second tire attempts, but fair enough. The rest of the Saints were all falling. Save it for the next fight. When in doubt, just save it for the next fight, unless obviously time's not on your side. But as of right now, still a little bit of time in this one. Bryant Stratton just passing the 70% mark here. maybe 1-2 more pushes if we're lucky, but it's going to be keep an eye on that Riptire.
Yeah, I think the Shatter's going to be huge here, too. As soon as the Pulse can blow this one up, he's a little bit more damage. Finds the Shatter. It's available. That's going to be an all coming through, though. Window, or Wall going to find some. Not going to catch anyone, though. Doofus Skull can come through. Going to find Archon available. Another double tire kill here. Evil going to get one as well. Still traded out, though. A lot of kills going across here for Bryant and Stratton. They're going to try and push onto this point here in just a second. It is now 2v2. Available going to get a decent amount of damage. This is going to be close. They will get the touch on point here in just a second. If Evil can touch it, will he get it? Yes, he will. They'll go to OT, but he's going to be able to clear these people off point. Can anyone get back to this one? Overtime ticking, ticking, ticking. And that's going to be the end. 1-1 the score, and we're going to go to a map number 3.
All right, so close quarters combat kind of going into the favor of Bryant and Stratton this time by, as they were just able to make those picks really, really happen. And even though Saints were still finding some rather decent value with their ultimates, I liked what they were doing with the Flux plus the Riptire. And Vailable was able to consistently find himself some double kills with it, while also dishing out a bunch of damage with just the grenade launcher itself. But just the burst damage was too much there from Bryant and Stratton. So going to be going down all the way until the final round of this first game. Going to be a close one.
Yeah, and I really think, I like how both maps, the DPS really shine. We saw Available at the end, the first map, got that pick onto Injustice, and that really sealed in the deal on that one. And this one we saw Slater delaying that point for so long, it robbed them of 30-40%. The fact that he was able to stay on there. And I mean, game 3, I'm looking for one of these to step up, and that's going to be St. Clair already on this point and getting 3 early picks. Cheesy going to find another onto Slater, the Doomfist, beating out that Doomfist. That's going to be St. Clair claiming this one early.
All right, I guess it must have just been a wise pick for that first round there, because this time Saints are going to pull out the Symmetra once again, and they absolutely body Bryant and Stratton on this first initial setup. Just being able to teleport in like that, set up your turrets, and then force them to push through it, that was just absolutely disgusting coming out of some Bales and the rest of the Saints.
This is going to be a nightmare for Pulse here, though. You have a May Reaper coming through now for Bryant and Stratton. That tank line is going to be shredded so fast. We're going to need to see a lot of damage coming out from Available and Cheesy here. Try and keep them alive. Slater going to find a headshot on Available, though, to start us off. That's really not good. They're going to try and preserve this point for as long as possible, but a collapse here onto the point. Shatter going to find 2, though. Cyber going to pick up 2 swings with his hammer. Going to find 2 people. Cyber with the charge onto G-Scales as well, and that's going to be point flipped after just about 30%.
That's the absolute heartbreaker there we just saw with our junk. You're on the other side of the wall. You know your team is falling, but you can't get through it. You could only just pepper that wall and hope it goes down. But of course, the support damage is just not there to break down that ice wall. So Bryant Stratton off of that. Going to stop St. Clair at 27% currently and start building some for themselves.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised here we're not seeing a Pharmacy, because against this team comp specifically, Pharmacy would be so effective. You don't really have that long-range engage that you need to fight against something like Pharmacy. G-Scales is going to find the ult here, though. We'll try and make some room for himself, but 2 members already down here for St. Clair very, very early. Does mean they're going to try and force onto this point. That's going to be a beat coming down. Cheesy going to find Slater as well, but G-Scales going to pop himself off the edge here, and it will force them back off this point. So in the end, just 1 ult used there to keep that point alive for Bryant and Stratton.
This is incredibly out of characteristic here for St. Clair, and I'm curious as to why. We do not oftentimes see a double main tank style, but for a little while there, we had both Winston and Reinhardt on the side of St. Clair. G-Scales, I've never really seen him play Winston. Did have an okay Primal Rage, but that's going to be a huge bunny shatter.
That's a huge shatter there. Stick going to find one as well, but Everlong with 2 kills on that Reaper is a huge answer back here. Argent going to find him on the backside, trying to take out this May too, the healer, trying to get some kills, but no, he's going to get found out here. Will be taken down. That's going to be 70% now for Bryant and Stratton, and this is going to be really rough. Just 1 ult for Ubel, the only one left for St. Clair to try and take this map back.
It's like, okay, you have your answer for Slater's Blizzard, but what about everything else that Bryant and Stratton are about to throw at you? Positioning in BSC's favor, as well as the ult economy, Saints are on an uphill climb to try and get themselves this game 1 win.
Available, swapping off to the Reaper here, seeing what it can do. Cheesy going to find Slater early on. Flash going to come through. OBL going to take out Cheesy, going to trade. Oh, he's going to get pinned. Going to stay alive, though, somehow. Also going to get Injustice with a pin of his own. Available going to clean up Everlong here. And St. Clair in overtime are going to claim it back. They're going to have to hold this for quite a while, but it's definitely doable as soon as they clean off Gel on point.
I was giving BSC the props in the last couple of rounds for just having the burst damage to deal with St. Clair, but this time with Bale switching over to the Reaper and the absolute clutch sound barrier coming out from Mubel, saving the life of Bale even though he was caught up in the Cyber's Reinhardt charge. Kept the Saints in this, and now they have 2 more ultimates to try and keep this fight.
Self-destruct going to come through early. See if we find anyone. Just going to take out the immortality field here. Blizzard going to come through, though. Going to catch a lot of members from St. Clair. Everlong going to take out Apostle very, very early. Deadeye going to come through. Not going to catch anyone, though, with it. Everlong is going to take out Apostle in the end. And that's going to be just 2 members left here for St. Clair to try and push back onto this. They will let point flip over here in just a second. Overtime being put through. Yubo knocks one over the edge, but can they get back on this point to keep this overtime going? Yes, they will. Flash going to come through. Cheesy going to find one here. Apostle on the Wrecking Ball, creating quite a lot of space here. Going to get another kill, actually, here. Can they turn this one around? Going to force him out of point. Overtime still through. Pin going to find Apostle here.
Cheesy's still there.
Will go down, but Cheesy's still on this point. Available back on the Tracer. Trying to keep this one alive. Just 2 tanks here on point. This is going to be so much damage here. Can they end up forcing these 2 tanks off site before the healers come back through? Yubo going to find Cyber, but Cheesy going to take it down. In the meantime, they will keep this overtime rolling. Holy smokes. Can they keep it going? No. Bryant and Stratton cleared them off, and that's going to be a 2-1. BSC Bobcats take map number 1 in a banger.
Holy smokes, that was definitely close, but Bryant and Stratton going to get the better of the Saints in this one. Absolutely brutal here. Cyber going to get credited here with the play of the game. I'm going to guess it's that money shatter just outside the corner. And we'll see in just a second. Answers shatter for shatter. There is one of them. Not the one I was expecting, but still a beautiful play in its own right. One of many solid plays coming out of the side of BSC to give them the win here in game number 1. But of course, with this being best of 5, we still have plenty more action here to come in this NECC playoff matchup.
Yeah, I definitely think it was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Again, I have to go back to the fact that you're not playing the pharmacy into this comp, and I think it would have been very effective. But, I mean, regardless, St. Clair still fighting back pretty well. They got up to 60%, almost 70% on that last point. They did take that first map pretty handily, and I really think that looking forward, this matchup is going to be a lot closer than originally thought. I think even that second map was still very, very competitive. I think St. Clair definitely had a chance to take it at multiple times. And, I mean, it's a pretty even matchup so far in what I've seen. I like what the DPS is showing up, though. Both, I think, Bailable and Cheesy have been looked really, really good, gotten essential picks here. And on the other side, too, I think the May Reaper combo was really, really powerful. And, I mean, right now, 1-0 for Bobcats, but this could go anyway.
Absolutely, especially with a couple of different game modes up ahead of us here. Going to get the confirmation of what exactly we're going to next in just a few moments. But I'm just thinking of if, say, the pharmacy combo or the Echo Mercy or something ended up coming out here on that map specifically. I feel like poking from the outside when you do, or when you don't have control of the point, is actually really effective. But when you actually have control of the point, I'm curious as if it would have the same effectiveness there. But that being said, it's just not been a combo that we've really seen from the Saints all season long, and it does let some of these high burst damage grounded combos like we saw from BSC really run amok. Because if he had somebody up in the skies, what's a Reaper shotgun going to do to a Pharah up in, or an Echo all the way up in the air, right? So definitely something that very well could come into consideration later on in this series as well. We'll have to see if the Saints maybe think about making a couple swap-ups, but it's also map dependent, and we just got to see where we're going next.
Yeah, I think the one thing, too, with the pharmacy is if you have a Baptiste on the other side, it is very hard to actually access that immortality field when you're playing with that poke on the outside with the pharmacy. So I think that may be a factor as well, because he's kind of just getting free healing as long as you're on the outside just poking. So that could be a factor. I think it's also the fact that you have the May Reaper. So if you can get control of that point, yes, the poke damage will be effective, but it's hard to really all in that, especially when you have a diva on the other side. So that might be a reason, too, why they want Laylock it. So map 2 is going to be King's Row.
Okay.
And St. Clair, I feel like, have had a lot of strong performances on King's Row, but they seem to really struggle when they can't get control of that first point. So I definitely think, for me, if they can get past that, if they can take this first objective and get that card moving, that's really going to be a difference maker, and that's where they're going to have to try and push forward. Because if they can't get that first point, I really think they're going to struggle to on the defensive side, and that's going to be their downfall.
Yeah, the way it seemed like it's been for the most of the NECC season is that they would get that first point on the last or the second to last push, to the point where they've just completely milked their time bank pretty well dry. Usually then giving them say 2 minutes or so to try and go through the streets phase, and then one of two things would happen. Either they get caught in the middle and it just kind of gets stuck there like it did versus Bay State, or they just fly through that section like it's nobody's business and they barely blow a minute. There's no in between. It's just basically been that way. And then majority of our Kings Row matches we do see kind of finish on the doorsteps right after the initial S's at the very end of the map. But just one of those maps where I guess Saints like it, but pretty much the entire community likes it.
That's
So
true.
can we really call this our map? I don't think so much anymore. It is still Saints Row in my heart, but at the same time, I feel like at the same
Yeah.
time, everybody basically likes this map.
I think it's a very popular map for a lot of teams. It's definitely it's one of the original maps that people have been playing on forever. So a lot of people, it's very easy to remember how to play around it and what the strats are on it. And it'll be really interesting for me to see what St. Clair decide to do here because it's definitely not it can be used for a hit scan, and I definitely expect Cheesy to be on the Cold Cassidy trying to find picks here, but I definitely think it's not as hit scan favored as some of the other maps.
And I mean, we have seen aerial combos work well on this map as well. I don't know if either team wants to end up taking it in this case here, but whether it be Echo or whether it be Farah, there's lots of tall buildings and statues and trees and all sorts of foliage for you to actually kind of hide behind from some of these hit scan players. But yes, at the same time though, this is also a very fun map for your double sniper compositions, which would
True.
absolutely counteract the aerial combos. So it's going to be a little bit of mind games to see what everybody picks up here. As of right now, we have a little bit of indecisiveness almost out of the composition from Bryant and Stratton. Slater wants to go in. We have a Genji here. But meanwhile, Everlong's thinking about sniping alongside the Hanzo. But then Justice's Mercy that completely counteracts what both of them are doing. This makes more sense to me now. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're in spawn, so they can change up their composition, see what works for them, see what they want to do. But looks like you could run with the Nano Genji. I think obviously it is kind of a staple of high-level Overwatch is getting that Nano Genji up, being able to shred through the entire enemy backline and then move on to that point with the rest of your team. So it's definitely something we've seen time and time again, especially with that Zarya could be very, very effective.
Meanwhile, on the side of St. Clair, we do have pretty much tried and true combo here for Kings Row with our Sigma and Reinhardt front line alongside the ice wall with Baleable going to be trying to hold the front line to say the least here. Try and separate him off, and honestly, good on Cyber. As soon as that ice wall separated him, he just jumped right back over.
Yeah, for sure. Smart move there. He knows he can cut out. G-Scale's going to find the first pick here onto Slater, though, so looks like they will be forcing him back out here. Everlong going to find Apostle with the Storm Arrows, though, so an answer back. They will be pretty weak here. G-Scale's going to find another pick, but OBL going to answer it back here, so team's going blow for blow here to start us off.
Yeah, we're getting basically point blank there with the Hanzo, but oddly enough, it's going to be OBL possibly charged up and ready to rock here on this one. Every single kill that goes down on the side of St. Clair is so much more valuable for BSC because Saints have so far to run back here. People might have to even consider like maybe running back and trying to speed boost some of his teammates back into this, because as we see right now, BSC moving in for possibly a little bit of percent on that point.
Oh, Cheesy goes down there to Everlong, though. That is very, very dangerous. That's already going to be an ultimate here. A Blizzard coming out onto this point to try and stall it for a little bit here to keep everyone else off of that one. Apostle going to find one, but a couple of answers here for Bryant and Stratton, and no one left here on point. Does mean they will be able to make some decent progress. They might even be able to take this to start us off.
Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be anybody available anywhere near soon. They all basically went down at different times, meaning that it would have just been basically a trickle fest. Maybe one last-ditch effort. Nope, they're going to end up letting this slide here. Apostle not going to dive on in, which fair enough. 5 minutes on the clock now for BSC to try and make it all the way through the streets.
Yeah, and there was actually a team-wide change of heroes. Almost everybody swapped it up here except for Cheesy. So now you see all the ultimate economy is reset here. And on the other side for Ryan and Stratton, you see two members have their ults, two more members at about 90%. So they're going to have a lot more ult economy available here. And I think, obviously, the second point here is pretty much a given almost for the attackers. It's very, very hard to defend that one. It is going to come down to that last final point. Ooh, Cyber finds our junk, though, early. OBL getting Ubel as well. Cheesy going to find one with the Dragon, though. A good pick there, but Injustice going to take Available in the end. Infiltration will go down. That's going to be just pushed off for a moment. Apostle trying to run away here, save his life for the moment, but St. Clair, the defense is stopped, and they will push that cart forward.
Well, I mean, at least Bryant Stratton, they only used the two ultimates there, just Cyber and Slater's, and there's still so much on deck as well, including the classic Grab Dragon combo from OBL and Everlong, and that's one thing I'm happy kind of to see that Cheesy did switch out, because that Hanzo did not have any combo pieces.
Yeah, Cyber does get anti here, but he will barely survive in the backline. He's available, trying to do some damage. Will have to back up. Cyber going to find two really early punch, and Elite going to find picks onto the backline of St. Clair here. No healers available, so it does mean They're going to have to back up. This point will be taken here in just a second. As soon as they can get that wrecking ball off of it, yeah, they will. So they will end up getting that, and they will push their time forward even more.
Yeah, comboing up a couple pieces. Even if it wasn't necessarily a direct hit, they were still able to find enough value to just swing the fight. And the fact that Cyber is just jumping in there essentially by himself and just having enough follow-up damage with everybody else too to just get these really picks is just absolutely swinging these fights before they even get the opportunity to get started. 2 points now on the board, and we have a Nano Monkey.
That's going to be a very strong Winston here. Everlong going to find 2 on the backside available. Going to get the bomb on the set. Diana going to go down here. Wrecking Ball with the ult available as well. Apostle looking to try and set that one down on point, but OBL meanwhile does get G-Scale. Slater going to find Cheesy in the back line as well, and this is just Bryant and Stratton smurfing all over St. Clair for the start of this one. 4 minutes remaining here, and they're almost pushing this to the end.
And Baleable getting taken down as well, like moments after the fights actually even happened, means this is going to be a 5-on-6 for this initial moment of possibly the final push if they can keep this up. G-Scale's going point blank here with the DPS. Might be able to find himself an elimination if he's lucky. Not quite. Apostle, however, and Baleable looking to get some other eliminations.
Apostle did find Injustice there with the ultimate, so we'll force them to back off here. Baleable going to find Cypher on the swap over the Doomfist here. So Arjun going to take OBL, and they will back off here. All still available for a lot of members of Bryant and Stratton here, and the next push will be very key. If G-Scales can get a big self-destruct and force them off the point, I think that'll help them out a lot. But if he ends up messing up on that self-destruct, I think all these ults are going to come from Bryant and Stratton. I don't know if St. Clair can defend it.
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely brutal here. But like we were talking about, it's probably going to wait for OBL to have the grab to at least use the Dragon. But we could still very well see the Winston and the Genji just dive on through, or just straight up get eliminations before it even ends up happening and Justice get on the board.
They will get a pick here. Slater going to go down, though, to G-Scales. Everlong going to get a pulse before he can slam down, though. Self-destruct still for G-Scales here. Dragon going to come through. Not going to catch anyone, though. It's just going to be on the outside there to try and push them off here. Self-destruct going to come through. We'll see if it catches anyone, though. No, Shield's going to come out. Nice job by the Zarya to keep the rest of her teammates alive there and keep herself alive. Going to get a lot of charge here, but still no progress being made. Grav going to come through. Catches a lot of members. Dragon come through as well. How many can it find? Nobody. A beautiful Transcendence by Arjunk there. Going to keep his team alive, and they will stop this push, at least for the moment.
Yeah, some desperation kind of coming out here from BSC, but that being said, they are finding themselves on the right side of kill feed as of right now. Cyber with another double.
They will clean up everybody here. Just a couple members of St. Clair left alive. That's going to be it taken down. They will have 2:19 left here. Solid. And 3 points. So pretty solid push by Bryant and Stratton, and now St. Clair looking to answer.
Yes. Like, honestly, that very well could have gotten turned. Bryant and Stratton, when I saw, like, the save from, it would have been OBL. The save with the shields to stop the Diva Bomb, that was quite nice. It's like, okay, now this is your opportunity to back up. Wait, you threw the grab in? Like, why? That seems like a bit of an overextension. I thought the Saints could have, like, just dodge it out, and I did like the save there from Arjunk there for the Transcendence. That was absolutely clutch, making it so that the Genji there from Slater was not able to get much damage. But that being said, the following fight after the fact, Saints just got melted once again, and now BSC need a solid defense, put themselves up possibly 2-0 here, or Saints need to find a way to tie this up.
Yeah, one thing I did see, though, that I don't know if I really liked from St. Clair was the fact that they're using Doomfist and Tracer into a Brigade, right? Like,
that's dangerous.
It's so hard because there are so many times where Baleable will get access to the backline and he gets some chip damage down, but he wasn't really able to get those picks, and then he gets stunned up by Injustice and gets taken down immediately on the backline.
Absolutely.
So I really feel like they had to maybe go with like a Junkrat there or something different. I really just feel like the Tracer wasn't as effective because they had that Brigade answer. So I would have liked to see maybe a swap there into something different. But I mean, still a pretty okay defense. But they are going to have to push this pretty hard here to try and match with Bryant and Stratton's time.
Back in my old ranked days, I would just insta-lock Brigade and love when Tracers tried to dive me because it would never work out in their favor. But a similar thing happening here from Injustice, really making that pick work for him as of right now. Saints looking for a relatively divey composition as well. Cheesy the only thing with a little bit of long range to him. But Bale nearly get himself in trouble.
He's going to stay alive here. Will come back. Oh, Cheesy going to find the pick on Everlong here. So a solid start. They will have to try and turn this into an advantage, though, on the point here sometime soon. The Wrecking Ball just waiting in the wings. They have Slater on the backside with this Ashe raining terror down now. Cyber getting down pretty low. They will start some progress on the point, though. Set going to find Jubal, and that's something to stop. And now that the Tracer will finally make their way back onto this point, I feel like St. Clair are going to have to respect that and have to regroup when Jubal comes back.
It's it's interesting seeing both teams actually really having a lot of value on that Zenyatta pick, because normally it being like, yes, a high damaging support, but at the same time kind of squishy, and we're going to see it right here as Apostle tries to dive on the set and is actually going to go down. Apostle to follow up though, or not available to follow up.
They do find the trade there. It is going to be 5-5. Trade's going to come out across the board as well. 2 more can be found for both sides. A little bit of damage in this corridor here being put down. G-Scale's going to find Injustice as well, but Dynamite got available there, so both teams suffering quite big losses. G-Scale is going to find a pair for himself. They will start progress onto this point here, but Ash still available. She will get some chip damage down. Can they get back to this point in time?
All right, so I guess the positioning there from Bryant and Stratton just completely missing in this situation, but it looks like they're not done at this point just quite yet.
Tracer just trying to stop any progress she can, but no, it will be given up here, and St. Clair will claim it and start the push.
Okay, so not too bad. Took like a push and a half, but they got it taken care of. So almost 5 minutes, which is basically what Bryant and Stratton had going into it. So relatively even pacing, but a nice little start there from Slater. Just to slow us down a little bit more, but still a bit of a back and forth going through here.
Yeah, and they do get these picks here, which is, I mean, obviously it is right at their spawn, which makes it easier, but the problem is teams have a very, very tough time getting out of their spawn here if the defenders push up very, very hard. And you see how much of an aggressive position they want to take here on this cart. Actually, no, they're just going to back up here. So, I mean, it isn't that big of a deal for St. Clair. They do spawn like 50 meters from where this cart is, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal for them to push forward. Didn't lose too much time.
Rough spot, though.
They have to try and push through this gateway, which is very, very tough.
Yeah, this is going to be brutal. It's going to be up to the ultimates. We do see OBL going to be starting things off with the ulti, but a good little transcendence there coming up from Arjun to keep everybody topped off. So, going to answer right, and here we go once again.
Transcendence is popped, though. Not going to do any damage with that ult. Cheesy does find Cyber with the bang. Oh, does get the flashbang on Everlong as well. So 2 picks from G-Scale's going to get Injustice as well. That looks like this Zenyatta will go down here in just a second. A punch to the face from Apostle is going to take him out. Slater does find a pick, though. Finds another on the G-Scales. But Evil finally going to clean him up here. Tank's going to be fighting in the back line. The heal's going to come through. That will be St. Clair again pushing through here and able to get this out of the gateway. Make some forward progress.
I mean, I know that Wrecking Ball's a hamster, but it just makes me think of getting punched in the face by a Yordle. That's just funny, but is that Rumble? But no. Wrong game. Wrong game, Danners. But anyway, this Streets phase has been basically blown right through. So not getting stuck like during the Bay State game, but maybe one last valiant effort here to stop on point 2.
2 rallies coming in from both sides here to start us off. Still quite a lot of time to push this one to the end here. That's going to be a Wrecking Ball ult coming through. A minefield they're going to have to try and walk through to get to this point. We'll delay them for a bit, but no picks coming through just yet. So we'll just be some chip damage, some ults being built up, at least for the moment until they can push back onto that point again.
Yeah, some briefest of stalls here, but here comes Apostle once again, diving right on through. Landing on more of the tanks, but actually G-Scales though, nice little follow-up.
G-Scales has been doing so well on this Sigma pick. He does get answered back there by Cyber and Slater, so it will be 2 picks apiece, and they will push forward and find the rest of the back line there. There will be a Zenyatta going down here, Apostle and Available working together to get that pick, but we'll have to try and get back to this point. They're going all the way back to his team. Can he stay alive here?
We living.
Yeah, he will. So we will get healed up here. So a couple of picks there, but importantly enough, G-Scales got them, but then went down early with the Zenyatta, and that really made the difference in that fight. Doesn't mean they don't quite get this point. Still a lot of time available, but every second counts because Bryant and Stratton push through, and they still have almost 2.5 minutes. So St. Clair need to get somewhere relative to that, or else I feel like it's going to be very, very tough to try and win this one.
That was a really odd and rough spot there. Like, the 2 Saints dove in on the Zenyatta. It's like, yes, guys, we got the Zenyatta. Guys, look behind, and everybody's just dead. So it's like unfortunate that they weren't all on the same page here. But Apostle leading the charge once again, right on Slater.
Slater still alive here. No, it will go down eventually there. Apostle with the pick early on. They will try and force this one onto the point. A pick did come through, so it definitely can be available. Transcendence can be popped here early on by Set. Arjunk's still holding on to his Transcendence. Deadeye going to come through as well. A lot of ults being used just to try to stop this. 2.61 meters left, but Cheesy and Arjunk going to get the fix, and they will be able to force this one through in just a second.
Scrappy, but we do manage to get that second point with just under 3 minutes still left on the clock. Still very doable for Saints to maybe get themselves a 3 cap here. They do have to deal with some ultimates, though, as we do have Cyber's Minefield going to be slowing things down at any point, but Arjunk does still have the Transcendence for some emergency healing.
Slater does have Bob available as well. Arjunk goes down early. The Minefield going to be popped on the point here. Proximity Mine's going to be doing a decent amount of damage to OBL. Going to be doing some damage himself too. Both supports down now for St. Clair. Does mean they will have to back off here in just a second, and they will.
I mean, low-key, not the worst thing that could have happened. Because yes, now the minefield's gone. The only ultimates you're going to have to deal with from Bryant and Stratton is going to be probably a Pulse Bomb. You're going to have to deal with Bob, and you're going to or you're going to need to fight through a rally. So we'll have to see how the Saints end up doing with that one. But they have a rally for themselves. They have their own mines. They have their own healing, and probably their own Pulse Bomb. So lots on the floor for this fight.
Minefield slam getting popped up here. A lot of damage done there, but he will be picked off. Apostle going a little bit too far forward. Will be taken down by that orb from Zenyatta. Everlong will find that pick. Bayable going to get one in the backline, though. Gets Injustice with a bomb of his own, so it will be 5 apiece for both sides here. Can they push forward and try and get some progress? No, it will be stalled out for the moment. Again, I really feel like these Wrecking Balls are making it so hard to actually get a solid push through because there's so much disruption going down on both backlines. You can't even focus on the actual points.
Absolutely. You see the Transcendence coming out from both sides here. Little preemptively. Here comes the Flux on top of this, so lots of ults being blown before the actual main fight. And could mean that we're just going to have to result pretty much gun skill for this one.
Self-destruct is available here, and key is there's no big shield available. Yeah, it is actually available just now for Sigma. OBL going to get G-Scales there, and Cyber going to get 2 picks as well. And St. Clair's push will be stopped in its tracks yet again with just under a minute now left in this one.
Man, Bryant and Stratton just basically baited everything out they possibly could in regards to ultimate resources and still held the line firmly. And now with only one more push basically left in the tank here for St. Clair, even if they happen to get the 3 cap, they're going to have to do a perfect defense in overtime. That's even if they can get this 3 cap. It looks like Bryant and Stratton all set up and ready to go here, so it's going to be a tough wall to break.
Available does find the stick there, but not going to be enough to take out a Apostle. Immortality Field will be able to save his life for the moment here, so that bomb will not be very effective. Everlong will pop G-Scales out of the mech, but Arjunk will get Cyber here, so they will have a small advantage until Diva can get back in that mech if she can. Looks like Apostle going to be trying to make some room here to push forward off that Wrecking Ball. Now onto this Reinhardt. Can he keep us alive? Mech going to be followed up here for G-Scales. It's going to be a double kill actually for St. Clair. They will find 2. Zenyatta ult going to come through. Transcendence trying to stall at this point as long as possible. Just 2.19 meters left for St. Clair. G-Scales going to find Slater in the back. They will get the Zenyatta as well. And that will be just trying to force everyone off point. This Wrecking Ball going to be providing so much space. And there is so much time. There's no time left here on the map. They will get it. So 3 points achieved by St. Clair, but no time left on the clock. So this will have to be a perfect defense for them to try and save this game.
And honestly, good on the tanks on the side of St. Clair just to spread out that fight as much as possible. Both halves of Bryant Stratton are basically trying to fight on 2 fronts, which was definitely a rough spot to be in. And overall, like a good last-ditch effort there for St. Clair to bring this one to overtime to begin with. But now, like you said, perfect defense or nothing for the side of St. Clair. So there's really no chance of them winning this map, only losing. But if they can somehow get a perfect full hold with no ticks, they can at least scrap this one and send us to a game 3 still 0-1.
Yeah, still be a tie, so we'll still go further on in this series, but at least it's not a loss. And I really think the difference maker there was Apostle swapping over to the Reinhardt. He provided so much space and had a good shield, because the problem was, right, you had G-Scales on the Diva, you had Apostle on the Wrecking Ball. They didn't really have a good solid shield after he swapped off that Sigma to try and stop the Ashe. And once he picked up that Reinhardt, it meant that a lot of that front line, he couldn't really get those picks on the back line on Arjunk onto Yubel specifically, and it allowed them to push forward that and just clean it up at the end. And it was crazy to me too. I was going to mention it. Bayable used that second last fight. Bayable used the ult and got the pick on Yubel, and then they went into the last fight and he had the ult again.
Yeah, he's just been absolutely farming that ult. I mean, Tracer's ult, as long as they're hitting something, comes pretty quickly, but doing an awesome job. And we got a sneak attack here from Apostle.
Does get stunned up though. Will have to be forced back way into the spawn. Bayable going to be on the back line as well, trying to clean up Yubel here. Slater going to go down very, very early though. Good start for St. Clair here. Cheesy going to find that pick, and they will slow it down. And I mean, you have 2 minutes to hold this one, so a lot of time here for Bryant is trying to figure out what heroes they want to pick up, what they want to swap to, see if they can find something different here to try and make it work, because you have to have a perfect defense for St. Clair. They only need 1 pick, so if they can find that good comp, if they can find a good pick, it's going to be all over for St. Clair.
Yeah, the way they're trying to do this is with smoke and mirrors, and you get caught once, you're done. So we see Apostle diving in from the back line once again. Yubel for first kill.
Slater does get one back, though. Arjun going to go down as well. Yubel going to find an answer, though. Yubel with 2 picks here early, but OBL going to find Apostle. Will give them a small advantage to start us off here, and it's a long walk back from Spawn to this defense.
Yep.
Yubel going to go down here with the anti-heal. That's going to be so much advantage here. First hit going to be coming down. No, GCL's going to get on the point. We'll be contesting it, keeping this overtime alive, at least for the moment. Basically, all they have is just a second on point by themselves is what they need to try and take this one. Apostle going to pop the shield. Still staying alive here, but Slater going to clean up everyone else on the backside. So Apostle just going to be flying back and forth. The hamster not able to save it. Bryant Stratton go up 2-0.
Okay, the amount of disruption that OBL was doing on that diva, just constantly body blocking and pushing away Apostle in that last couple of moments was absolutely clutch to give him that last little bit, because he didn't die, he got taken down here. OBL gonna get credited as well with the play of the game as a part of that classic Scrap Dragon combo, and sort of seeing Cyber kind of pop up a little bit as well. But this is going to be the second game in a row here, going over to the side of Bryant and Stratton, and another close, well-fought game. Saints bringing it to overtime rounds, but did not have anything left in the time tank, and just could not get the full defense that they were looking for. Stalled time, but couldn't quite get enough of it.
Yeah, it was a very winnable game, and I think both of these games have actually been very, very close. I think both sides have fought pretty hard to get them, but I feel like just those small picks, those small refined victories that they end up getting are very meticulous, and it's very hard fought for Brian trying to find them, but it's just a little bit of that extra mechanical skill that's giving them the edge in these games. So I think for St. Clair, yes, you are down 0-2. You are going to have to force the reverse sweep. But you say, okay, we definitely, both of these games, very, very winnable. Just small things we need to fix. Maybe think about a hero change here or there on the DPS side can make a huge difference. And it is 2-0. They are on match point, but definitely possible for St. Clair to come back in this one.
Mm-hmm. And then just in that last game, they played such a risky style there with how Bailable and Apostle were playing. Because, to be fair, they delayed a lot of time with the indecisiveness from BSC in regards to, do we turn on the tank, do we turn on Bailable, or do we just keep trying to push forward, even though they're still shooting us in the back. It's a fantastic play until somebody gets locked down or you force them to come to you. So eventually, and honestly, really quickly, so good on BSC, they just said, ignore them, just push the point and force them to come back to us. And then it was an even fight on all fronts. So it was a neat idea coming up from Saints. Did not quite work out. But with that, however, unless there's any final thoughts about game number 2, I think we have to be throwing this to a very, very quick commercial break.
Yeah, for sure. We'll be back at a break in a bit. St. Clair on the edge here of being eliminated from the playoffs, down 2-0, looking for the reverse sweep against BSC. Can they find it? You will find out in just a couple of minutes.